Waiting, but waiting for nothing. So you're gonna anticipate. Anyway, here we go. Hello, everyone, and in line. What do we call this? Our internet sangha, yeah, online sangha. There you go. I hope you're well. So this is the closing of our retreat, and one of the things that people ask me when, like, do I do interviews, private interviews, that kind of question. It's like in the West, people usually relate to a teacher. In Asia, they'll relate to the whole sangha, to the monastery, to everything there. So in Thailand and in Tisarana, we continue a tradition in Theravada Buddhism that's been going for 2,500 years, and it's called potluck. It's true. 2,500 years deeply, and it works. It works. So the idea is that at main meal time of the monastery, so in our case, people arrive around 10:30, the meal's a bit later, anyone can come and bring some food for the sangha. It doesn't have to be the whole meal. So some people will bring a loaf of bread, some people might have made a curry, some people might make a salad, some people might bring some apples, doesn't really matter. And then that food, which is brought at that time, is brought to the kitchen puts it together, and then it's offered to the sangha for the meal, to the ordained sangha, and then it's shared by the lay people. So that's potluck. And that's the way we operate. And without that, we wouldn't have the sangha. So in Thailand, of course, there's Pindapad, alms round. So at Wat Pah Pong, you go on Pindapad, 6 o'clock in the morning, first light. Monks go out to various villages. And in fact, that's how I learned a lot of my chanting. Just walking. I used to do Bango. I used to do it's like 2 kilometers to the village. So all the monks would go individually at about the same time, and I'd have my chanting. I have written it out, and I'd memorize my chanting there and back. It's quite a good way to memorize Patimokkha and so on. And then when we arrive at the village, say there might be 10 monks, 15 monks, depends how big the monastery is, might be just 2 monks. Then we would walk through the village. Lay people would know this is the time that the monks will be coming. The mothers with their kids would be putting food in the bowl, usually rice and something else or not. And that food is all taken back to the monastery. The monks return, it's prepared in the kitchen. And then around 9 o'clock, there was the one meal of the day. And that's shared by all the bhikkhus and Siladar and others first, and then the lay people share that. So it's a very lovely coming together. And then the duty and privilege of the senior monk, the abbot or one of the senior teachers, is always to be available to the laity. Always. That's first priority. So that is the time when there's a sharing in Dhamma. So it's a lovely way to plug into a community and a culture, and you don't really need an appointment to bring an apple, right? And a lot of people are afraid, oh, what should I bring? Well, whatever you eat, we eat. That's the spirit of it. And then afterwards, the senior monk looks around, oh, would you like a chat? Shall we talk Dhamma? And then meets with the lay people after the meal. So please remember that with Tisarana or any other place that, like if I'm there, I'm happy to chat with you, talk about the practice, or Ajahn Pavaru is there, or whoever the senior monk is. And this is true of all our monasteries, Abhayagiri or Chetavana, or in Thailand or Sri Lanka or wherever. So that's one thing. Potluck, 2,500 years, huh? It's very cool. And the spirit of it is it's a mutual giving, like it's a kind of reciprocity of generosity where the lay folk look after the sangha, look after our needs, and we try to sustain a place which is sanctuary and refuge and give Dhamma in return. So the place and the culture and the teaching are sort of our offering, and then the laity look out for the needs of the sangha as you have looked out for our needs. One of the beautiful things of, I think, Theravada Buddhism is that when a young man, Exhibit A, Exhibit B, sorry, you're Aiden, or Exhibit A. When a young man, we say, wants to go forth, that's the word, the whole community is really happy. And it isn't like, you know, I'll feed you as an anagarika, as a samanera, and then as a bhikkhu, if you teach me. It's not like a deal. It's no, you want to do this? Good on you. And so the whole community says, good on you, we'll support you in that way. So it's another act of generosity, both from the community that live at a monastery, but also for the wider lay community. Say, yeah. And that's kind of gorgeous, isn't it? That not many men want to do this, not many women want to do this. Like, so Aya has her place, and that's limited in size and so on. But the fact that this possibility exists in society, that beings who are aspiring to transcendence or deep spiritual values, that idea is held, at least in society, I think it's very important, very, very important. Because if it's not held or portrayed or exhibited and known, then beings who are, men and women who are aspiring to that, don't have a place, don't even have the imagery, don't have the, kind of don't know that it's possible. So for me, as a young man in India, when I met my first monk, I didn't know who he was. He got off, I was living in Almora, he got off a bus, and I just was really interested. So I think I said, what are you? Terribly disrespectful, right? But I got to know him and got inspired by him. And then he said to me, you know, there is this lifestyle. Oh, really? I mean, people do this stuff. And you can actually, oh, wow. And then I went to Thailand. So that's one thing, that there is a place, both Aya's place and our place. It's limited. We can't, you know, we have to, we get constant flow of people asking to join, and we say, no, we haven't got any space. And that's just the nature of it. It's an offering, but also I think that the robe, and I don't want to push my own thing, the robe is a symbol of transcendence and aspiration. And although religion is almost a pejorative word these days, people quite often don't like the word religion because of associations which are valid, you know, associations of corruption or abuse and things like that. Still, religioso or religo, that kind of aspiration to enlightenment, spiritual values, I think it's good to have symbols of that. Hence, we wear a robe. Hence, we live in a traditional and orthodox way. And Ajahn Chah said, yeah, your robe is your flag. And when you walk through a town, people, this is like Viradhammo Sariputta, when he saw his first monk, you know, he said, oh, who's this? And he went to the Buddha and got enlightened and so on. So we are a very conservative Orthodox tradition, but there is orthodoxy and there is orthopraxy. And orthopraxy, or the practice of liberation, is not doctrinal. It's not unorthodox, or it's not a doctrine. The awakened mind is not a doctrine, is it? And if I can find words with a Sufi practitioner, or a Christian mystic practitioner, or the Advaita Vedanta practitioner, we can share the same aspirations and insights, no problem. It's not really a problem of doctrine, doctrinism. But like for us as Theravada Buddhism, we come from a tradition of elders. Thera means elder, Vada means the way of the elders. So I've ordained with Ajahn Chah and Ajahn Sumedho and other teachers, and they've asked me, try to use this form. Try to use this form, see if it works. And that was certainly the case when we went from Thailand to England, and Lompa Sumedho asked Ajahn Chah, I said, well, what am I going to do? And are people really going to be interested in this? And Lompa Chah asked Lompa Sumedho, he said, well, are there generous people in England? I said, of course there are. I said, you'll be fine, which is nice. And then when Lompa Sumedho, well, what should I do? And Lompa Chah just said, make a good soup. He'll come, make a good soup. So here we are. Hopefully, the soup was great, I must admit, and I think all of us, so many of us have been here for over 5-10 years doing this retreat. I think we really appreciate that. Chanting, the structure, at least I do. Yeah, so keep that in mind, that it's not just about one person teaching. It's about a whole culture that has value, and that it's important, I think, to support the whole culture. Because when I'm dead and gone, I looked it up. I asked Google how long I would live, and Google said 82. Do you ever do that? That's what Google's about. Just type in Google. So how many retreats do I have left, right? Or how many rugs do I have left, or tables do I have left? Well, probably not that many. But the beauty of this is that the vehicle carries this rather than the efficiency or charisma or skills of one particular person. And Ajahn Chah was particularly skillful in developing a very good sangha, ordained sangha. He was very, very good at that, because he himself was charisma's plus, plus, plus. He's such a radiant being and such an interesting being and wise. And you could see how the whole thing could have just flopped with his death. But actually, because he trained us so well and trained the community in living together in this way, the monasteries are really, really thriving. And some are more successful or less successful, but the whole body of practice is very strong. So whether it's California or near Boston and Massachusetts, or monasteries in Portugal and Brazil now, in England, 300 monasteries in Thailand. But it's not really about size and success, because success itself has its drawbacks, but rather that I think the integrity of this practice is interesting for people. It draws them. So there are many elements in a monastery which we try to incorporate them here, the chanting. There was a good friend who had done a lot of retreats with me, and she did a winter retreat with us, and she said, wow, this is different. It's really different than just 10 days of meditation. 10 days of meditation, everything is taken care of, and it's very much kind of relaxing the heart and mind because there are no responsibilities. But just being in a community where there's still people, there's still issues arising, there's still not heavy issues, but the practice is much more challenging, much more challenging. But then you have your lives, which is much more challenging. So now you return to your challenging lives, And remember that whatever you've got now, you're going to lose. Like, give it up now. Rather try to hold on to it, whatever it is, because of begins ends. But if you have the basis of reflection, oh, this is what chaos feels like, or because you're really sensitive now. You're really in a very sensitive space. So as soon as you get poked, you're gonna really feel it. And if you don't panic, don't panic. Wow, look at that. Then you come back to your home ground. If you, however, try to hold on to something, I don't know how you would do that. Lock your door and throw the phone out the window or something like that. Then of course you just, so whatever impacts you in life, be it someone honks their horn on the way back, or whatever negative comes up or positive comes up, remember your real home is awareness. So you can endure that. If something negative comes, just be patient, and there it goes. And that's the skill of the complexity of ordinary life, which we all know is a bit more difficult. So I'd like to express my really profound gratitude to Jane and Evelyn and Anne and Vivian and everyone who is in the background organized this retreat. Jane's going to do all the thank yous, but I can do them too. So this is really a wonderful opportunity for me and for my young brothers here, because it's a real treat for them. Again, if they didn't have their masks on, you'd see the big smiles. And it's really wonderful for me to be able to bring them and see the kind of environment where a senior monk hangs out, as it were. And for me, it's a learning, and teaching is learning, isn't it? Teaching is really, really the best learning, because if you really want to learn about Buddhism, teach a retreat, because then you can't bluff it. You've got to think, okay, well, what the heck do I know? What do I really know? And is that true? So then you try to express something, or if you talk with anyone, you try, well, what is it? How do I say this in words? So my first teacher, Viradhammo Suchi, he said, if you can't write it, you don't know it. My take on it is, if you can't speak it, you don't know it. In other words, if you can't express it. So teaching is, and anyone I think who's been a teacher realizes how profound that opportunity is. So I always learn a lot. Yeah, so I could say more, but perhaps we could do this. So the usual way to end a retreat the monastic side is to offer people a chance to take the 5 precepts. And that's a traditional way of reestablishing the form for lay life. You can do it or not. You can take the 5 precepts or not if you want with me, but we could do that ceremony now if you want. So we could look it up in the book. 5 precepts. But don't feel you have to. It's just a way of determining a kind of lifestyle going forward. What page do we have? 129.
Well, I guess first 128. First question, even earlier. Sorry. Requesting.
Okay. So maybe Nisanka could request for us. So everyone should, like anyone who wants to take the 5 precepts, usually bow 3 times first, if that's the tradition. So if you just follow Nisanka's lead.
Ayam Bhante Vikarana Saha Panchasivani Rajani Dutyanti Ayam Bhante Vikarana Saha Panchasilan Yachami Patyampi Mayam Bhante Visadeva Saha Panchasilan Yachami.
And if you flip the page, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi Sanghang saranang gacchami. Tisaranagamana nititang. So the 5 precepts, I'll do the Pali word by word, and then I'll do the English in one line. And if you follow me, Panatipata, Veramani, Sikapadang, Samatiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking the life of any living creature. Adinadana, Veramani, Sikapadang, Samatiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from taking that which is not given. Kamesu, Michachara, Veramani, Sikapadang, Samatiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from sexual misconduct. Musawada, Veramani, Sikapadang, Samatiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from lying. Surameraya, Majja, Pamadatana, Veramani, Sikapadang, Samatiyami. I undertake the precept to refrain from consuming intoxicating drink and drugs which lead to carelessness. Imani panchasikapadani silena sukatingyanti silena boga sampata silena niputingyati tasama silang visotayi. I finished early. So we just, yeah, unless the people are, yeah, shall we just keep going? Yeah, let's go for it. Yeah. Oh, that's offensive. I was wondering. Maybe this.
I didn't quite, so you weren't here, so I didn't quite get it right. What's that?
Oh, fine.
Not yet? What, if I do that? There, yeah, that's good.
Okay, this one.
So thank you everyone on the online retreat for being part of our retreat and supporting us in our practice, and just the fact that you're there has been just a wonderful feeling for us, knowing that over 100 people were able to be part of the retreat, to receive the wonderful teachings that Luang provides. And just to know that we're part of one big community of people who are practicing in this way. And so I'm very grateful for all of you. Most of the time there were like between 40 and 70 people participating with us. And so that was really a wonderful experience for us. I want to start by just introducing behind me. You've seen them. It's been interesting. There's been remarks about when at night, these act like mirrors. So we think we're just, stretching and doing our thing, but everyone's watching us. And so I know people have been seeing the Anagaricas that way, but I want to introduce Anagarika Aiden and Anagarica Daniel. And we have so enjoyed having both of you here for the retreat. I mean, the chanting alone, it's worth it just for that. But just your presence has been a lovely addition to our retreat. I also want to, for people who are Canadian, you know that this is actually a big day in Canada. It's the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And so I do want to start off by acknowledging that, we have been in this absolutely beautiful place, like here in Galilee. Could it be any more beautiful? I don't think so. And, this is the unceded territory of the Anishinaabe and Algonquin Nation. They nurtured this land for millennia, right? And this is the benefit that we have now, is that this land has been looked after. And so it's just, I think, an important day to acknowledge that history. Along with that is just the acknowledgement that, that of the harms. The history of our country has within it the harms that were inflicted on our First Nations people. And I think today is an important day for that. But I also think for us, and Ajahn mentioned, like, your heart's a little open now, and I feel it just as we're talking, right? It's like, it's true, the truth of the harms that were done. A lot of times, maybe not intentionally, but many harms and lots of suffering. And the fact is that the harms are not done, they're not finished, because they get passed on from generation to generation, and the suffering continues, to the next generation for people. So I think because our hearts are open and we have compassion, and we know that these are our fellow brothers and sisters here in Canada, that it's just an important day for us to allow our hearts to feel the suffering that our First Nations and our Indigenous people have had to deal with. So anyway, I know it's not that we can fix anything, but we can certainly understand what people are going through. I didn't think I would do that, but I'm okay. So I do want to thank a number of people, Longpur, you've already mentioned them. Anne, who just, as you know, did so much before the retreat and getting everything ready, and also continued throughout the retreat to send information and pictures and all kinds of things for those of you at home. I really want to thank Ming. Ming, thank you. You're in Singapore, but you offer so much support for us during this retreat. Ming is the one, and Ajahn, you don't see this, but in the background, she puts up the chants for everyone, and she's been recording most of the talks. And then she, after the retreat, will put those talks together, edit them as best she can, given our technical problems, but she'll put them together so that they're available for other people. I want to thank Vivian, because she's the one who starts things up every morning, and she does part of the recording and sends it to Anne, who sends it out to everyone. And Bob, who really tried to help with the technical kinds of things that were happening. Evelyn has been amazing. It says Jane on there on my computer, but Evelyn's been sitting behind the computer as much as I have, looking after things. And I so appreciate it. She says, no, you go and sit over there. And I'm like, yes. It's been really, really so wonderful to have your, we've kind of been sharing everything. It's been great. And then, when the problems came, I'm useless, honestly, but Evelyn and Barton and Chow, like, boom, they're in it. They're there, they're working on trying to solve it, trying to figure out what's going on. Evelyn and Chow jump in the car and drive back to Canada to get another computer. And then that one's not quite right. They drive back again to get yet another piece of equipment. And again, I know I'm saying thank you from all the people online that you worked so hard to make things work. And then in the end, of course, it was, not something we could fix. But anyway, we're happy that it did get fixed. Last year, I thought, we have this down because we figured out all the problems. But as you said, uncertain. It's uncertain, and technology certain is. So there's new problems, I guess, every year. So those are, I think those are all the thank yous. I probably have missed people, but that for the online group, that's the thank yous. I would like now, we've had a number of people who have, from the online group, who have sent in reflections. And so because of the nature of how this works, they're sending them in, and then people here will read them. So I'm going to start off by asking, who's first? I'll ask Anne to come up, and she'll read a reflection from Eleanor. Eleanor, you know Eleanor well from Toronto. She's part of Satipanya and the Theravada Buddhist community in Toronto. And she sent in a lovely reflection.
Thanks for that reflection on Indigenous culture.
Thank you so much, Jane. My goodness. So it's my honor to be able to read on behalf of Eleanor what she has written. One moment. Here is my humble offering for the closing of our online retreat. Beginning with a few words from Ajahn Chah about cultivating our real home, the clear wakefulness that is meeting and dwelling with the Buddha. Your real home, your external home isn't your real home. It's your supposed home, your home in the world. As for your real home, that's peace. The Buddha has us build our own home by letting go till we reach peace. This expresses beautifully the precious Dhamma teachings that our beloved teacher, Longpur, has offered this week. Sadhu, 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 dear Longpur. Deepest and heartfelt gratitude to you for offering these precious Dhamma teachings in these challenging times. You are the lion's roar. May you continue to benefit and awaken many beings. Heartfelt gratitude to our Dharma sisters and brothers at OBS for hosting this excellent online retreat. Thank you for everyone for your dedication and practice this week. May you be well and safe. Offered with metta from Eleanor.
Thanks, Melanie.
Now I'll call on Barton to come and do some reflections from the in-person group.
Thank you, Jane. So Jane told me I only have 102 minutes to talk.
It's 120, but
Is it 1 to 2 minutes or 120 minutes? Well, it's sounding like I'm going to have to cut out the puppet show. So, but what happened? I did is I had more than one thing I wanted to say. So what I did last night was I wrote down a couple of things in different forms. And I'll start with the joke I wrote. That's always a good opening, and then move on. Okay, so Tarzan is walking around, and as he's walking, he notices something unusual, and he looks over and says, "Who or what are you sitting there under the tree of awakening?" And the chimpanzee that's sitting there opens one eye and looks over at him and says, "I am Bodhicitta." And that was the beginning of a great friendship. Oh, okay. No. So now I'm going to read a little poem. This long poem is largely inspired by, I know it's a bit of a mix. So I wrote a poem on a more serious note, and this is really based on your talks, I think, and also you know, the situation we're in here at Galilee is really quite wonderful, as people have said, in that we can walk into a nearby forest and be immediately bathed in nature, and opportunities for silence then are here in the meditation hall or out in nature, and it's wonderful. So this is just called Into the Silence. As I said, this is just a short poem. Into the silence I go, where I hear the singing of the trees, the laughter of the river, the smiling of the sun, and the beating of my own gentle heart. For I am most alive in the silence, as each of these fleeting wonders enter into my being, to be held and treasured down the long days, until I too am heard only in the silence. The silence becomes ever more important all the time for me, and I'm really grateful for you talking about the importance of silence, because in this world we're bombarded and told all the time to do more and be more and act more, and not simply to just sit and be present with ourselves and on our journey. And so on that, I will also say one last thing, which is that I came to the retreat questioning my practice a lot, but thanks to Luang, and also thank you to the support, the silent, quiet, gentle support of the Sangha, I started to reflect on that, and I realized that, you know, I've been gradually awakening over many years, and sometimes don't see it. I have a long way to go, but I feel much better now at this ending of the retreat than I did at the beginning about my practice. And so rather than write something, I thought I'd just read something very briefly from Shantideva on sort of how meaningful this is to me. And he expressed it really well. This is an English translation, of course. As a blind man feels when he finds a pearl in a dustbin, so am I amazed by the miracle of awakening rising in my consciousness. It is the nectar of immortality that delivers us from death, the treasure that lifts us above poverty into the wealth of giving to life, the tree that gives shade to us when we roam about scorched by life, the bridge that takes us across the stormy river of life, the cool moon of compassion that calms our mind when it is agitated, the sun that dispels darkness, the butter made from the milk of kindness by churning it with the Dharma. It is a feast of joy to which all are invited. Thank you.
You read very beautifully.
Thank you.
Okay, Anne could come up to read a reflection from April. April is an OBS member from Elmont.
I don't have a joke to share with you. However, I have this lovely reflection from April Piero. Okay, thank you. It has been a huge privilege and much more to have had the opportunity to attend this week of teaching via Zoom. My health has been compromised this year, but thanks to the immense skillfulness of LP Viradhammo and the OBS team, the benefits of a lengthier engagement can be felt. In particular, the teachings on opening the heart, working with feeling, sense, and perception have been extremely practical and immediately applicable. Thank you all from the bottom of the heart.
Thank you, Barton, and thank you, Anne. Next we'll have Jean come up, and Jean will read a reflection from Janice. You know Janice very well. I saw her at Tisarana, I think, last week. And she's also part of the Theravada Buddhist community in Toronto.
Through Ajahn Viradhammo's clear, concise, and invaluable teachings, I have gained a better understanding of the value of being with the heart and the innumerable lessons the heart can teach me. Therefore, in these reflections of gratitude, I have focused on the frequent use he has made of the word heart. This list is a summary, and in some cases I paraphrase, so I apologize if I have lost the meaning. I have included limited context in places where I felt the use of the word might be unclear. The heart chakra is a form of intelligence. If there's a feeling of remorse, the consequence is felt in the heart. It is powerful to say to the heart, "This will change." The practice of metta stimulates the heart. The heart touches silence and feels the beauty of compassion. With the notion of head and heart, be aware of the head as an object in awareness. The head analyzes and gets caught in critical thought. With the heart, however, when consciousness abides in the center of the chest, there is a sense of receptivity. It is a visceral feeling. Living life from the heart is very different than living it through thought, which proliferates on regret, guilt, judgment, etc. The example of waiting in the line for a security check at an airport. Look at the difference between the head and the heart. Move up and down between the head and the heart, depending on the situation. Look at the difference between the two. The head may fill one with worry and anxiety, while the heart can open with compassion to the airport employees, the passengers in the long queue, and all other beings, including yourself. When doing a body sweep, feel the openness of the heart. When the heart closes, it can be felt. In relationship to injustices in one's life, The practice is not about thought. Try to work with an open heart to create a sense of compassion. Then, if possible, attempt to let go of the injustice. If the heart stays open, it is painful to see someone you love suffer. Stay with the compassion. Every evening on the retreat, we chanted the metta chant. The word heart appears once in this chant and points to the ideal of living life from the heart. And this one might bring tears to my eyes. Even as a mother protects with her life her child, her only child, so with a boundless heart should one cherish all living beings. A heartfelt thanks to Ajahn Viradhammo for teaching me, through his personal example, to live from the heart. It is a constant challenge, but it brings a richness to my life that living in the head can't begin to touch. Thank you to all the OBS folk who made this amazing hybrid retreat possible. A special thanks to the technical support people who ensured the technical problems were resolved quickly, and to those who acted as hosts and co-hosts at every session. A special thanks to Jane, Anne Ming, and Vivian and Evelyn. And last but not least, my heart reaches out to the retreatants meditating in person at Galilee. There was a stillness, silence, and calm in the room that was palpable online. And to my Zoom Kalyanamitas, thank you. I benefited from being with all of you. I felt surrounded by supportive friends from around the world. Written from the heart, Janice.
Thank you, Jean and Janice. I'll call on Kathy now to give some reflections from our group.
Thank you all who've helped make this retreat so wonderful. I haven't been able to get a grasp of the people on Zoom, but all of you here have given me a sense of warmth and support. Thank you very, very much. And of course, my greatest gratitude goes to Luang Viradhammo, who began this retreat with a few words: silence, sustained attention, stillness, and open. And encouraged us to let go of the foreground from time to time and really drop in on the background, which enriches our life and makes life worth living. As you mentioned near the end of our retreat yesterday, if we don't reflect and we don't have that habit and that ease and ability to come back to our experience, you may ask yourself, well, what was the value of living in the first place? So this has been extremely valuable for me to be reminded of this throughout this retreat. So I have also a poem, and this is a poem of Derek Walcott's. Many of you may know this poem. It's called Love After Love, and I believe for me, this really outlines what that reflective ability is all about. The time will come when, with elation, you will greet yourself arriving at your own door, in your own mirror, and each will smile at the other's welcome and say, sit here, eat. You will love again the stranger who was yourself. Give wine, give bread, give back your heart to itself, to the stranger who has loved you all your life. whom you ignored for another, who knows you by heart. Take down the love letters from the bookshelf, the photographs, the desperate notes. Peel your image from the mirror. Sit, feast on your life. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. I'll call our next, the next person the next reflection is actually from Nancy. And Nancy was here last year at the retreat, and she was on the wait list for the retreat this year. She's an OBS member from Ottawa. We miss having you here, Nancy. Here's the reflection from Nancy.
I think this is the first time Nancy missed an in-person retreat with you, Arlen. Reflections from Nancy. A deep bow to Luang for leading yet again another fulfilling retreat. Your generosity, wisdom, loving kindness, friendship, and guidance provide deep inspiration for the practice. And I definitely need all the encouragement and inspiration you offer. Thanks for saying, stay the course. It was a great gift to spend a week meditating to discover, I don't know. I'm also grateful for your calm presence and patience. How many times over the years have you said, be the knowing? Also, may I add, be the nowing. Your teachings are profound, and your stories are fun and informative. I'm feeling inspired to start a small woodworking project, like a bird feeder, but not in hickory, maybe bird's eye maple. Your teachings help us to get unstuck, and for me, the following teachings offered much nourishment. Awareness is our true home. Receive sound in awareness. Is presence ever absent? Aversion feels like this. Openness of the mind and the awareness of the heart chakra. The peaceful abiding of the out breath. The witness awareness of welcoming, listening, and knowing. Notice the mind, knowing the mind. I could go on, but these nuggets are a gold mine. Thanks, Luang for encouraging us to have trust in the practice and to also tie up our camels. Another lovely reflection was to see the participants reflected in the windows at the close of the evening session. Also special was to feel connected with all the participants joining from all around the world, as well as those in person. A beautiful Sangha indeed. Ever grateful to the OBS and to those who worked selflessly to create a smooth online experience. Thank you, Jane, Vivian, Anne, and the others, known and unknown, who contributed to this retreat. May we radiate kindness over the entire world. Love, Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy and Evelyn. Last, I'm going to call on Carl to make a little presentation. Carl's, I guess, most important asset is that he's married to Anne Van Dusen. With that. Sorry. You're an
Thank you.
asset.
I can get this on. I need Anne here to help me put it on. Sure.
Yes,
Thank
okay.
you.
Always good to get help. Wait. Oh, I have it upside down.
Oh, okay.
Does that work? That works.
Thank you. Oh, yeah.
Take your mask.
Thank you. Thank you, Jane. I want to say two maybe slightly different thank yous. One is to Anne for getting me in here again. And another one is to Kathy for getting me through in a way because of I really find that physically this is very demanding, the sitting. And so for me, the yoga makes it possible really. And so thank you. Thank you. And thank you, young men. I have great respect for you and your intentions and your being here. I think it's wonderful. So I have the honor, privilege of presenting to you, Luang, the thank you cards filled out copiously by all of the participants. And I'm only going to, I'm going to read them all. Just kidding. But I have the honor of presenting to you as well. It's a book by Richard Wagamese called Embers, One Ojibwe's Meditations. So particularly may be appropriate today. And I'm only going to read from the first chapter, which is called Stillness. And here is the entry. It's his meditation. Excuse me. I am my silence. I am not the busyness of my thoughts or the daily rhythm of my actions. I am not the stuff that constitutes my world. I am not my talk. I am not my actions. I am my silence. I am the consciousness that perceives all these things. When I go to my consciousness, to that great pool of silence that observes the intricacies of life, I am aware that I am me. I take a little time each day to sit in silence so that I can move outward in balance into the great clamor of living. You're very welcome. And finally, thank you all very much for being a part of this. Thank you.
So, perhaps the three of us could chant a blessing to wish you well in our traditional way. This chant is called Jayanto, and its translation is the verses of victory. So it portrays the various challenges the Buddha had in his life and his victory over all the forces of delusion and confusion that he faced as well. And it's our way of thanking you, offering blessings, and wishing everyone freedom from suffering. Gentlemen. Jayanto Bodhi Amule Sakyanang Nanti Ewang Tawang Vichayo Hijaya Sujaya Mangale Apa Chita Palang Kesi Se Patavi Pokare Api Se Sabapotanang akapato pamotati sunakatang sumangalang supapatang suhoti sukanoa samuhotoa jasuyitang brahmachari supataki Gaya gamang waja gamang pataki na pataki manoa gamang paniti te pataki na pataki nikatoa nalabanta te pataki ne bhavatu sabamanga Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Bhuta Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Sabba Galang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Dhamma Nubhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te Bhavatu Bhamangalang Rakantu Sabba Devata Sabba Sankanu Bhavena Sada Soti Bhavantu Te.
Their final respect for three Bibles. Unless you need something I would like to say.
No, I think that's it. Yeah. Just follow the. All right. Bye, everyone. See you in Singapore.
I was supposed to remind people about the retreat that you're doing in Thailand. Sorry. I didn't know if it was on here.
Are people still up?
Yeah.
Come on over here.
So for anybody who's still logged on, we will have a retreat with Pajan from the 20th to the 29th, I believe, in Thailand. And fortunately, that will be hybrid too. So we'll be having everything of November, of November. So that will be a hybrid online also. And I think the timing will work because our night will be your day and our day will be your night. So you still get the Dhamma teachings first thing at night and first thing in the morning also. So if anybody who'd like to join, I'll send the information over to Evelyn or to maybe to Anne, and then we could distribute it to the group that is online.
Bye. Ciao. Okay, so now we just wait. What's the plan?